not normally this loud. Hello everybody, I'm Daniel. I'm here representing Socialist Action and the Workers' Action Movement. I'm just a worker. Yet work is what makes this entire country run. It's our labor that makes the city run smoothly. The people that own our apartment buildings, that own our places of work, contribute nothing. We're the workers. Yet why do I introduce myself as a worker? Is this not an anti-poverty rally? We're here with POOF, Protecting ODSP OW Funding. It's an anti-poverty rally, yet this is put on by disabled people and by houseless people. Where are the workers? Why are the workers not here? As if workers are somehow immune to becoming disabled. As if workers are somehow immune to losing our house. Every recession you see it. Tens of thousands of people. All they work their whole lives for. They sacrifice years to go to school and to work a job, and they lose everything in a moment's notice. Why aren't the workers here? Well, we're divided up. We don't want to think that we have more in common with the person sleeping in the park. They make it into a moral thing. They're in the park because they made a bad choice. As long as you play the game right as a worker, you will never become that destitute, and therefore you should never try and fight for more. You don't want to risk that. Yet the disabled people here, like Isabella, who started this, they know that there's nothing left. If we don't take to the streets, if we don't show our collective power, there's nothing. Do you know how many houseless people die in Toronto every year? Dozens of people die in the streets. They freeze to death. They burn to death. They overdose. They're desperate. Workers need to have that same level of desperation when it comes to our organization, because we are one paycheck away on average from being in the same situation. We're one recession away from being in the same situation. Yet, as we stand here today, we have the most vulnerable people taking a stand. Where the fuck is the NDP? Where the fuck are our unions? Where are the liberals? Where is every single political party or organization that pretends to give a fuck? They're not here.
They've been invited. Yes, I am.
Oh, yeah, best believe Isabella invited all these people. But our political leaders and our labor leaders are traitors. They're capitulating to the bosses. They think because they get to sit down with the bosses across a boardroom every couple of years, that somehow that power is too much to risk. That they need to play it safe, they need to accept the concessions, they need to accept outsourcing of factories, they need to accept that wages don't go up, but everything costs more and more. They're afraid, they're terrified of fighting against a system that harms us all. And more than anything, the capitalists are afraid of when the workers and the disabled people might work together. Because if we fight together, well, that is 99% of us. No longer might it be the most vulnerable 10% fighting for their lives. It becomes all of us fighting for our collective lives and our collective future. Where are the unions? You might think you're safe if you have a job, if you're in a union. You're not. We're all on a dying planet. Climate change does not give a shit if your job is unionized. Climate change does not give a shit if your job is unionized. The pandemic doesn't care. We are fundamentally abandoned to fight for ourselves. But the beautiful thing about it is there are more of us than them. It's going to take the rank and file worker to push the unions to the left. And in Ontario, 30% of workers are unionized. Imagine what millions of people would be able to accomplish. 10 people shut down Young in college for 2 hours. We're showing a collective force of just 10 people. This is what we can do. Imagine millions of people going on strike. Demanding that ODSP cover living allowances for everybody. Not because you yourself might be disabled, but because one day you might be. Do we all just want to forget that we're in a pandemic? That if you survive, you might live with a chronic disability for the rest of your life? Your boss does not give a shit about you. We can give a shit about each other though. And we can push the people that we elect to represent us in our workplaces and in Parliament. We can push them to give a shit about us if we scare them enough, if we organize outside of their halls of power, if we stop reading the fucking emails every week talking about what shitty initiatives they're bringing into work to foster your mental resilience. If we ignore that and we collect in the streets to demand the things that we need to demand, lest we forget that we're here for a radical demand. A 100% increase for Ontario Disability Support Program and for Ontario Welfare. Because fundamentally, these programs, like someone put so eloquently earlier today, they're not a support program. It's a death sentence in short motion, in slow motion. ODSP housing allowance is less than $500 a month. No one can afford that. OW housing allowance is less than $400 a month. You can't afford any apartment in the city with that money. Yet the workers are not willing to risk anything to fight for that, because currently we might not be in that situation. How myopic can we be? How short-sighted can we be? How short-sighted are our labor leaders that they're willing to wait 4 years to get Doug Ford out of office when he started killing people the first day in office? The first things he did were cut our health budget. The first things he did was cut social supports. We need to organize. I am not a politician, I'm a worker. Yet I am forced to run in an election in the Ontario Federation of Labour in November. I'm running for Secretary-Treasurer of the largest union body in Ontario. I want all unions to be on the streets, fighting for the most vulnerable amongst us. Because even if you're disabled and not working, you're an ally of the worker. You're not there leeching off of people in the streets, you're not exploiting people. Those are the capitalists, and that's our common enemy. Together we can win everything. And the sooner we realize that we have everything to lose, but also everything to gain, the sooner we win real power for ourselves. And we stop leaving people to sleep in the streets and to die horrible deaths just because we think that that might not come for us. It very well might. Thank you.